Hi, Steve here. So in this video, I want to talk to you about how to get rich without focus on getting rich. So many people come to me and tell me, look, I want to be this level. I'm only at that level and I want to grow my business and I want to be more successful and I want to, really start to, get my business to take off. And when I ask them what they've actually done about it, often the answer is very little. And the truth of the matter is, it is a waste of time wanting to be rich until and unless you do something about it. And let me just talk about being rich to start with. There's many versions of being rich. There's been rich in my health, in my relationships, in the friends that I've got, and so on. But I'm talking about money, okay? How to get more money, how to get more money into your business, how to get more money for yourself and your family and your team and your friends and so on and so forth. But essentially, how to grow your business. Here's the key. You need to become better. It's down to you. The buck stops at you. If you run your own business and it's a failure, you're losing money and you're struggling to survive and pay your bills, whose fault is it? You say, well, it's the economy, it's the this, it's something out there. It's not my fault. No, it isn't. It's your fault. I don't say that to be harsh. I just say it to get you to realize, even in the tough times that we're going through right now and all that sort of stuff, there are businesses out there doing exactly what you do, making a fortune at it. I do reasonably well. I'm not like a multi-millionaire or anything like that. And I was listening to a guy this morning on YouTube, and he was telling me he does basically what I do, is making 54 million a month. A month, guys. It made me think, what am I doing wrong? I need to get better, which is why I'm bringing this message to you guys now. We all need to get better. But the question is, I suppose, what do we need to get better at? Well, if those of you who've listened to Michael Gerber in the past will know what I'm talking about here. And those who haven't, by the way, go and buy a book called The E-Myth. Uh, you'll thank me for that later. But Gerber talks about the three areas of business that we need to focus on. Firstly, finance. Secondly, operations, doing the work. Thirdly, marketing and sales, selling the stuff. So we've got to be good at doing the work, managing the money, getting the sales. But essentially, whilst all those three are important, if you're really going to leverage your business, there's only two ways. There's only two ways of making more profit that I'm aware of anyway. One is to reduce your costs. Two is to increase your sales. Now, you can increase your costs a little bit, 5%, 10%, 20% maybe, but you've got to spend something. And even if you did reduce them by 20%, it's still a limit to how much profit you're going to make until and unless you start working on increasing sales. How are you going to increase sales? Well, you've got to become better at selling and marketing what you do. How much time, money, and effort have you spent in the last year trying to become better at sales and marketing? If you're like most businesses that I speak to, the answer is very little indeed. And do you know what? In the 30 years that I've been in business, there has never been a year with more change, more new technology, more new ideas, more new ways of growing your business than this year. And we're only like, whatever it is, a third through the year. We've still got I'm recording this towards the end of April, so we've still got a good percentage of the year to go. And I guarantee if I was doing this in December, I'm going to be talking about a whole new range of different marketing ideas that are out there. But my point being, you need to invest, you need to get some training, you need to get some help And, whether you go with me or somebody else, I don't mind. I just want to try to help you to really, stop living in this world where, right now, I believe that, in the consulting service industry, the training, the advising, the coaching, the what I'd loosely call the helping industry. In that industry, 1% are doing really well. Just 1% of them. They're making millions. Let's put it like that. We've then got about 15% who are doing quite well. They're turning over, and making a nice profit, perhaps 250, 300,000, making good money. In I'm talking pounds in the UK. So translate that into your currency. We've then got a group that are just about surviving. I reckon that's somewhere around about the 60% mark. They're paying the bills just about. Sometimes it's a little bit tough. Sometimes they're really struggling. Sometimes it's not so bad. We're getting better. But basically, they're what I'd call flatlining. They're no further down the line than they were 2 years ago, or perhaps 15 years ago. They're doing okay, but they're not really anywhere near where they want to be. And typically, these businesses rely on referral, word of mouth, repeat business, and they don't do very much marketing. That's the truth. And the marketing that they do, generally speaking, is just doesn't work. Not really. And often they don't do marketing because the marketing that they've done doesn't work or hasn't worked. And the truth of the matter is, it hasn't worked because they've never been trained in it. You know, what a shock. So get trained. If you want me to train you, if you want me to help, that's what I've spent 30 years of my life doing. I know I can help you. I've helped thousands of businesses in hundreds of industries. I've done that all over the world, including Singapore, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Malaysia, America, Canada, Switzerland, Poland, you name it, as well as spending most of my time in the UK. If you want my help, get in touch. Just book a free meeting. No obligation. Let's just have what I call a discovery meeting. Let me find out about your business. You can find about how I can help, and I'll even try and help you during the meeting along the way by way of proving that I can do what I say I can do. So go to my website. It's on the wall behind me for those watching on video. If you're watching on my podcast, then the website you need to go to is results-mastery.com. Click on one of the gold buttons and get yourself signed up. Get yourself signed up to a meeting. By the way, if you are listening on my podcast, then don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my podcast, or why not become part of the Results Mastery community, which you'll find details on the website. So thanks ever so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you again on my next podcast. Thank you.